On a humid August night in 1955, 11 people crowded together inside a tiny farmhouse in Kelly, Kentucky, and every single one of them believed something beyond normal was circling their home. Not a person, not an animal, something else. It started with noises in the dark, scratching on the walls, footsteps on the roof. Then, eyes. 2 luminous eyes staring through the glass, unblinking. Inside the house, panic spread fast. Someone grabbed a shotgun, someone screamed. A flash of gunfire tore through the room, and whatever was outside didn't fall, didn't cry out. It simply vanished into the night. Before long, the creatures were everywhere. Silhouettes on the rooftop, figures drifting through the trees. Clawed hands reaching down from the porch overhang, and no matter how many rounds the family fired, the things outside seemed untouched. After nearly 4 hours of terror, the families made a desperate choice. They fled, piling into their cars, speeding down empty country roads toward the nearest town, toward safety, or at least someone who might believe them. When they burst into the police station in Hopkinsville, they were pale, shaking, and armed, and they swore they had spent the night fighting off 12 little men from a spaceship. So, what really happened during the Kelly-Hopkinsville encounter? Was it a close encounter of the violent kind, or one of the most misunderstood nights in UFO history? Before we return to the chaos of that night, we need to step back to a place and a moment in American history where a story like this could take root. Kelly, Kentucky, in the mid-1950s was little more than a crossroads town. A dusty road, a small church, a gas pump outside a general store. Inside the Sutton farmhouse lived Glennie Langford, the family matriarch. Strict, religious, and firm in her belief. No alcohol, no nonsense, and certainly no tall tales. Her sons, Lucky and JC, worked where they could, sometimes joining travelling carnivals to make extra money. And visiting that particular evening was Billy Ray Taylor, a friend from Pennsylvania, and the man who would become the first to claim he saw something strange in the sky. But this wasn't just any era. America in the 1950s was in the grip of something new. In 1947, pilot Kenneth Arnold reported seeing 9 mysterious objects darting across the sky near Mount Rainier, the sighting that gave birth to the phrase flying saucer. From that moment on, newspapers, radio shows, and even the government began whispering about visitors from beyond Earth. The Cold War was tightening, nuclear fear was rising, and the skies felt charged. So, when a family from rural Kentucky later claimed they had been attacked by something not human, they believed them instantly. Night settles over the Sutton farmhouse, dragging a heavy Kentucky humidity with it. Inside, the family relaxes after dinner, talking, playing cards, windows open to the warm air. And then, it begins. It was just past dusk when Billy Ray Taylor steps outside to fetch water from the well. The yard is quiet. The only sound is the creak of the pump. He glances upward and freezes. A bright, silent object glides overhead, smooth, metallic, and trailing a shimmering arc of rainbow light. Billy Ray watches it drift behind a line of trees and disappear. He runs inside, breathless, insisting he's just seen a flying saucer. But the others laugh him off. Out here in the rural dark, people see all kinds of things. And Billy Ray, well, he sometimes had a tendency to exaggerate. For the moment, the family thinks nothing of it. But the night isn't done with them yet. An hour later, the family dog, usually calm, begins growling at the back door. Lucky Lanford and Billy Ray step outside with a flashlight. The beam cuts across the yard, sweeps over the fence, and lands on something they will never forget. A small figure, 3, maybe 4 feet tall, stands at the edge of the trees. Its head is round and oversized. Its eyes glow with a pale, eerie light. Its skin, or whatever covers it, shimmers like a dull metal. And it doesn't walk, it glides, as if its feet barely touch the ground. The men stumble back toward the house, shouting for everyone to get inside. Whatever Billy Ray saw earlier, this is worse. Inside, panic builds. The grown men grab a 20-gauge shotgun and a .22 rifle. Someone whispers a prayer, someone else sobs. Then, movement at the window. A glowing face peers inside, eyes wide, unblinking. A shotgun blast shatters the glass, lighting the room with a white flash. The creature flips backward with impossible grace and vanishes into the dark. But it isn't alone. More appear, silhouettes drifting around the house, claw-like hands tapping on screen doors, eyes gleaming through cracks between boards. Lucky fires through another window. Billy Ray fires at the roof. Each time the bullets strike something solid, but the creatures don't fall. They just slip back into the shadow, then reappear somewhere else. Hours stretch on, warped by fear. The children hide under blankets. Glennie Langford holds her breath, listening to footsteps on the roof. Soft, deliberate, too light to be human. Then comes the moment they speak of for decades. Billy Ray steps onto the porch trying to catch his breath when a clawed hand reaches down from the overhang and brushes the top of his hair. He screams. Lucky bolts outside, firing upward. A figure tumbles from the roof, not falling, but drifting, as if cushioned by invisible air. The gunfire echoes across the fields, but the creatures always return. By now, the family is exhausted, shaking, nearly out of ammunition. Something scratches at the back door, something taps the roof again, and they finally decide they cannot survive another minute inside this house. In one frantic burst, everyone rushes to the cars. Children first, then the adults, guns still in hand. Engines roar to life. Tires kick up dust. The farm disappears behind them as they speed down the rural road toward them. On that dark highway, no one speaks. No one looks back. They reach Hopkinsville just before midnight, bursting into the police station wild-eyed, trembling and armed. And they tell officers one thing over and over. We've been finding them for hours. The little men from whatever that thing was. This is the night that launched one of the strangest investigations in American history. Not a single person involved would ever forget it. When the Suttons and Taylors burst into the Hopkinsville police station just before midnight, they were in a state the officers would later describe as genuine terror. Not drunken hysteria, just fear, raw and unmistakable. They claimed their farmhouse had been under siege by creatures they didn't have the words to describe. And whether the officers believed them or not, they couldn't ignore a carload of armed, shaking citizens asking for help. Within minutes, the alert went out. A convoy forms quickly. City police, county deputies, state troopers, and even military police from nearby Fort Campbell. Heavily armed, flashlights in hand, the group drives out into the dark Kentucky countryside. Around 2 a.m., they reach the Sutton property. The farmhouse sits in eerie silence. Flashlights sweep across the yard. Officers fan out, scanning the trees, the roofline, the outbuildings. Inside the house, they find the evidence the family had insisted would be there. Bullet holes in window screens, shattered glass, spent shotgun shells across the floor. Proof of gunfire, and a lot of it. But there was something else too. No footprints, no blood, no bodies. No sign that anything, human or otherwise, had been struck. One deputy later remarked that the only genuine fright he experienced that night came when someone stepped on a cat's tail in the dark, sending it shrieking into the air. But that was the closest anyone came to finding a culprit. For 2 hours, officers search every inch of the property. They climb onto the roof. They sweep the tree line. They check the fields, the fences, the well. Nothing. By dawn, the word has spread. The Kentucky New Era runs a front-page headline the next morning. Story of spaceship. 12 little men probe today. It instantly captures the public imagination. Soon, newspapers across the region and across the country are printing the story. Radio stations retell the account with dramatic flair. Some outlets treat it seriously, quoting sheriff's deputies who insisted the family was sober, frightened, and sincere. Others take a different approach. Cartoonish illustrations pop up. Googly-eyed spacemen, goofy antennas, and green skin the witnesses never described. The phrase "little green men" begins appearing in print, and from there, the term enters American folklore. Within 24 hours, the Sutton farm becomes a destination. Cars pull up along the road, strangers walk the property, hoping for a glimpse of alien footprints or a recovered spacecraft. The family, overwhelmed and exhausted, puts up no trespassing signs. When that fails, they begin charging a small entry fee. Not to profit, they insist, but to slow the stampede of curiosity seekers trampling their land. But this decision brings consequences they never expected. For some locals and journalists, the admission fee is all they need to hear. To them, it's proof the whole story was a stunt, a carnival trick, a money-making hoax. Never mind that the Suttons earned almost nothing from it. Never mind that Glennie Langford, the strict no-nonsense matriarch, refused to play along with reporters who tried to sensationalize her account. Never mind that every witness stuck to their story, even under separate questioning. Skepticism was spreading, and the investigation was losing its grip on facts. Meanwhile, the official stance, including a brief note from the Air Force's Project Blue Book, was blunt. The whole thing was a hoax or a misunderstanding with no physical evidence to support it. But for those who had been in that police station the night before, for the officers who saw the fear in those people's eyes, the story wasn't so easy to dismiss. Because evidence suggested something did happen on that farmhouse porch. I can't think of anyone that would fire a gun, damaging multiple areas of their own home without reason. And the question now was, what or who had the Sutton family really encountered? The Kelly-Hopkinsville encounter is one of the rare cases in UFO history where everyone involved agreed on at least one thing. Something extraordinary happened on the night of August 21st, 1955. But what that something was depends on which lens you choose to look through. Because this is a story with two versions, each compelling, each incomplete. From the believer's perspective, the Suttons' account stands as one of the most consistent and detailed close encounters ever recorded. 11 witnesses, adults and children, interviewed separately, their descriptions match almost perfectly. They didn't drink, they didn't seek attention, and they didn't change their story. In the believer's view, these details paint a chilling portrait of a genuine extraterrestrial visitation, one that didn't just appear silently in the sky, but approached, observed, and surrounded a rural home with deliberate curiosity. And Billy Ray's earlier sighting of a glowing object drifting through the trees? To believers, it wasn't a coincidence, it was the arrival. For those who accept the Sutton's story, the simplest explanation is also the boldest. The family wasn't hallucinating, they weren't lying, they were telling the truth. But on the other hand, skeptics describe a very different reality. Not one built on aliens, but on misinterpretation. Their story begins with the same moment. Billy Ray stepping outside at dusk. But instead of a spacecraft, skeptics point to a meteor. A bright fireball documented that night across multiple counties. A spectacular silent streak through the sky that could easily appear to descend behind distant trees. From there, the skeptics' version hinges on a single powerful idea. The creatures were not creatures at all. They were great horned owls. Large, territorial, nocturnal predators with yellow eyes that reflect like lanterns, feathered tufts that resemble pointed ears, wings, when raised aggressively, look like long, thin arms, and a silent, gliding flight that mimics floating. A startled owl falling from a roof can appear to flip, recover, and drift away, almost exactly as the Suttons described. Add adrenaline, darkness, gunfire, and a family on edge, and shapes in the night can transform into monsters. Then there's the psychological layer. Skeptics suggest that once the family believed they were under attack, every sound in the dark became one more invader. Every scratch on the roof became claws. Every shadow became a threat. And in this version of events, the little men were never there. So, which version is correct? The truth is, that night in Kelly plays out like two films running side by side. Both films draw from the same scenes, both come from the same night, but only one can be true. Or perhaps neither is entirely wrong. As the investigation faded and the visitors, whatever they were, never returned, the Sutton family was left with a strange legacy. They gained no fame, no fortune. If anything, their lives became harder. Reporters intruded, neighbours whispered, children were teased at school. For them, the nightmare didn't end when the creatures left. It lingered for years. Today, in the same quiet Kentucky community where terror once reigned, you'll find an annual celebration. Little Green Men Days. Families gather, vendors wear alien-themed t-shirts, kids wear antenna headbands, and the town embraces a legend that once frightened it. So, what happened on that August night in 1955? Were the Suttons really staring into the eyes of something extraterrestrial? Did a meteor and a few territorial owls ignite one of the most famous UFO legends in history? Or is the truth hiding somewhere between belief and doubt? Somewhere between perception and reality? The skeptics' response of owls may have seemed rational back then, but as we are hearing more accounts and evidence these days from authorities regarding the existence of UFOs or UAPs, do owls seem more like reaching for a rational explanation when there wasn't one? I'd love to know what you think. And until next time, I'm James Deverell, and this is THS Case Files.